The individual, no matter how high his salary, no matter how many dividends he has, no matter how many homes and castles and chateaus he may purchase, is a fallible creature. He is a being that has a very temporal existence, subject to innumerable infirmities, and inevitably resulting in the final termination of material existence. The individual cannot take it with him, yet he is willing to commit crimes against humanity in order to get it. He is always fighting some way to protect it, but another criminal is waiting to take it from him. He wants to have what he has while he can use it. But nearly all those who do this do not live to use it. They spend a little, lose a little, give a little, and have a lot taken from them. But the actual termination of the situation is not fortunate. And in being unfortunate, it grows, increases, and distributes itself throughout the world, resulting in war, crime, desolation, starvation, and a mass of infirmities, all of which, to one way or another, are related to the desire for personal gain regardless of consequence. Is superiority of the person himself. He wishes to be superior, and he feels that the only way to become superior is to gain wealth. All his education is toward wealth. All his attitudes in life are toward those public services which are well paid. Almost everything that he does is termed in the matters of his economic capacity. The more he has to spend, the more luxury and the more fulfillment of material desires. But these desires themselves are meaningless in the large pattern of things. The individual has all these advantages and still, when the time comes, passes on in a completely miserable state. There is no way of proving that the material life of the individual can be made secure by any means other than the growth of character. He must become more in himself. To become more is to grow. To assemble or accumulate more is a very serious doubt as to whether he will grow or not. Now, if a person has wealth, either self-earned or by heredity, or by the dispositions of circumstances or the Los Angeles lottery, if he has wealth, then the problem comes, what is he going to do with it? He lives in a world of people, most of whom are suffering. He is living today in a world under tyrannies that have brought tragedy to millions. He has now a power of wealth. What is he going to do with it? Is he simply going off somewhere and gamble it at Las Vegas? Is he going to buy another yacht? Is he going to do all these extravagant things and throw them in the faces of people who have nothing?
We've noticed a trend among young Americans that they read less history and less literature and less material about foreign lands, and they're essentially ahistorical. They live in the bubble of the present. They don't know the Korean War from the war in Vietnam. They don't know who was an ally of America in World War II. Think how different America would be if every American knew that this is the 5th time Western armies have gone to Afghanistan to put its house in order. And if they had some idea of exactly what had happened on those 4 previous occasions. And that is, they had barely left and there wasn't a trace in the sand. Or imagine how different things would be if most Americans knew that we had been lied into 4 of our last 6 wars. You know, the Spanish didn't sink the battleship Maine. The Lusitania was not an innocent vessel but was loaded with munitions. The North Vietnamese did not attack the 7th Fleet. And of course, Saddam Hussein hated Al-Qaeda and yet had nothing to do with it. And yet the administration convinced 45% of the people that they were brothers in arms. But I don't want to end on a pessimistic note. The 20th century has shown enormous cognitive reserves in ordinary people that we have now realized. And the aristocracy was convinced that the average person couldn't make it, that they could never share their mindset or their cognitive ability.
I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Man, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. And I hear that whistle blow on down the San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. Well, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Now when I hear that lonesome whistle, I hang my head and cry. Well, I bet there's rich folks drinking in the fancy dining car. They're probably sipping coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I knew I had it coming. I know I can't be free, but those people keep a moving.